Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning into the Financial Investor channel. My name is Brent. Today we're going to be doing a comparison between the EE bonds and the I bonds. What is best for you, why you should invest in either an EE bond or an I bond. I do have a breakdown and a chart of why you should do either of the two. Now this is mainly up to you guys, so I'm going to just be putting out the information. I think this is an important video to understand and listen to because there are differences between the bonds, and depending on the time frame that you're wanting your money invested, both of them are good investments. You just have to decide on which one it is. So as we know, EE bonds and I bonds are both lending type of investments, meaning that whoever you lend your money to, they're essentially borrowing your money in exchange for a savings bond that is either issued by a corporation or a government. The most common types of savings bonds are government issued savings bonds, and you can buy savings bonds by going to treasurydirect.gov, and the link will be in the description below. Now today we're going to be doing a comparison between EE bonds and I bonds. So if you didn't watch the videos on EE bonds or I bonds, I covered both of them pretty in depth, going over their pages. Today we're going to be doing a comparison, and then a couple of what EE bonds and I bonds don't really compare with each other with. So they are both they are both electronic. Let's just start off by saying that paper EE bonds are no longer available, but I bonds are still electronic through the website. All website purchase bonds are electronic, but you can still purchase I bonds paper through your IRS refund at the end of the year. So that's the main thing there, how they're different. They also have different interest rates issued. The EE bonds currently have a fixed rate of 0.10. So the differences between the EE bond and the I bond as far as interest rate is that they do have different interest rates. The EE bond has a fixed interest rate no matter what time of the year, recession or growth period, they always have a fixed rate for those 30 years. The I bonds, they have a fixed rate, but then they also get an inflation rate. So the current fixed rate of the EE bond is 0.10. The current fixed rate of the I bond is 0%, but the inflation makes it 1.96% because of the inflation rate. How are these bonds the same? Both of them can be purchased for face value, but EE bonds can be purchased at half the face value. Both of them are electronic bonds. They can be bought for $25 or more to the penny. So as an example, you can buy an EE bond or an I bond for $50.23. The most you can buy per calendar year for each Social Security number is $10,000, meaning that if your husband and husband and spouse were to purchase a savings bond for a child, they would have to have a Social Security number to have that bond underneath their name, but that specific Social Security number could only have a $10,000 per year. So I think this is a really good idea. Savings bonds are really good for long term. EE bonds especially. So especially if you have a child who is currently 1, you have a Social Security number, you buy a $10,000 EE savings bond, you're guaranteed to double in 20 years. So you buy that when they're 1. By the age of 21, they now have a $20,000 EE bond that they can use for their first 2 year of higher education. You buy a second $10,000 EE bond when they're 2, and now when they're the age of 22, now they have another $22,000 EE bond that doubled. Now they have a total of $40,000 that they can use towards their higher education, which is the equivalent of what a bachelor's degree in this generation. You can use it for that sort of things. I bonds, on the other hand, they don't double after 20 years, and we're going to showcase that in the graph coming up. Both of them can be redeemed after 12 months and no less than that. Both of them have an interest that is earned monthly and compounds semi-annually. So the interest is earned monthly, but it doesn't compound until semi-annually. And it does earn interest up to 30 years. You can, here, if you cash it before 5 years, you do lose the last 3 months of interest. And they are both taxed at the federal level, but not at the state. And of course, we've talked about the tax benefits and how the money can be used for higher education. You can get excluded from having to pay taxes on your interest off the bond. So if you bought it for $10,000, you cash it out as soon as you hit the 20-year mark. When it's $20,000, you would only pay taxes on the $10,000 that you made. But if you used that $10,000 on higher education, then you could get it tax-free, and then you could just keep the $10,000 that you initially invested into it. So that's a good breakdown of comparing EE bonds to I bonds. Now we're going to go ahead, and I have an example here of some of the bonds that I currently have, and you can see that the majority of them, EE bonds, we're going to see that throughout time. This is 2014 here. You can see the block here. This shows that the next securial is in 2014. This is 2015. So the EE bonds here, during the period of the 90s, they had interest rates of 4%, and you can see that throughout the 2015 they're still 4%, 2016 they're still 4%, 2017 they're still 4%. So no matter what you purchase the EE bonds at, they are still 4%. Now these ones, the EE bonds that I purchased for $1,000 face value, I only paid $500 up front. They're currently getting an interest of 1 to 3%, meaning that some of these may not hit their face value in the next 10 years. So some of them I bought in 2008. We're in the year 2017 now, so they're about 10 years. They're about halfway there. So if I wait 10 more years on these EE bonds, they're guaranteed to be a face value of 1,000. Now I do have about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 $1,000 bonds, so that'll be $18,000. Half of that is $8,000, so I only paid $8,000. I'm going to be getting $8,000 for my initial investment of $8,000 within a 20-year mark. Now that may or may not be good. These were all purchased at a time when I didn't really need the funds, so I just sort of purchased them. I did switch to I bonds. These do have a little bit of a higher return, you can see, but they aren't guaranteed to double in 20 years. And you can see that there's the thing with I bonds, you can see right here, this was bought for $1,000 in the year 2008. It did not earn any interest. I bought it for $1,000. It had previously made an interest of $155 previous to that. So this was the year 2014. So it took, let's see, 6 years to earn $155. But in the year 2008, when the recession happened, it didn't earn any interest. That is because if we go back to here, we can see that the interest rates for May 2008 was 0% for the fixed rate, and the inflation rate that year was also 0%. So I earned 0% fixed rate and 0% inflation rate. So that's some reasons you may not always want to go for the I bonds. Or, the E bonds are guaranteed to double in 20 years, so you want to make sure you're picking the right ones. Some other things to take a look at, that in the year, the I bonds are the other ones that we're going to be looking at here. And the I bonds, they do change per year. So this is calendar year 14, they're 2.59. Calendar year 15, they're 3 and 2 point. Calendar year 16, they went down a little bit. You can see they're in the 1-2% range. And now 2017 calendar year, inflation is high this year. It's like 2.65%, somewhere around there. You can see that the interest rate on some of these is over 4%, meaning that they're trying to battle the current inflation rate. These ones are really good at battling inflation. I mean, I'm getting a 4.1% back on $1,000, which, right now it's about $400, $300 back in 10 years, which isn't great, but it's something, right? These are not guaranteed to double after 10 years, so good example there. Now let's go ahead and get into our graph. Now this is the main important part that I want to show you guys, is the difference between EE bonds and I bonds. Now I created this little chart with $10,000 as your start amount, and this is just your interest, and this is actually a very on-point scale. So I can take this EE bond here as an example, and it was issue price 500 with 1.4. So 1.4% issued at $500, and we can see here that this one, okay, this is the year 2017. So we're looking for 2017. It was purchased in 2010. So 7 years. We can go here to the 7th year, and it should be worth $559.04 by the end of the year. The semi-annual amount, so 555 and 559. So it should be right now 555 to 559. So I go over here. Whoops, where is it? 559 right here, 555 and 559. So I go back to my chart here, 555. Where is the, what was it, E-bond? Or yeah, right here, 555 and 559. So right at 552. So this one doesn't actually hit. It just hit. It's what, 2007. 2000 May would have been its 7th year, so it would have actually just started its 7th year in 2017 in May 2017. So right here, the beginning of its 7th year, it would be 551, which is what it's at, basically 552. So you can see that this chart is pretty spot on. It is correct. So let's go ahead and continue with our demonstration here. So let's go ahead and bump this up back to $10,000 with our interest of 0.10 that we're currently getting, 0.001, and of course this is the percentage. There we go. So after 30 years, your initial investment of $10,000 in an EE bond will be $10,314. But wait, after 20 years, it's guaranteed to double to the face value. So we paid $10,000, but the face value of the bond is $20,000. So now at the $20,000 mark, it is now worth $20,000 at the 20-year mark, and by the end of the 30 years, it is now worth $20,221. So that's very good. Now over here, the current interest rate is 1.96 for $10,000. By the 10-year mark, you will have made more than your 10-year mark. For the EE bond, you will have made about $2,000 more. So if you are going for short-term investments, I bonds would be the way for you. But if you're going for long-term investments, EE bonds would be the best for you. If you're looking at something over 20 years, EE bonds are the way to go. If you're looking for something between 1 to 15 years, I bonds would be the way to go. But if you hit 15 years with an I bond, you should have went with an EE bond, and just went 20 years because you would have doubled your investment. So again, you start with $10,000. After 30 years, your $10,000 investment at 1.96 would be $14,771. So the difference here is $5,450. That's a big difference. But this interest changes. Remember, we have the inflation in our savings bonds. So I actually have, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, I have interest rates that have fluctuated. So what we can do is we take the average of these years, and we'll just start with this first one right here. Let's go ahead and I'll actually grab the third one. I'm going to use the third one as an example. So 2.59 plus, third one is 3.25, 3.25 plus 2.95, 2.95 plus 4.18, 4.18 divided by 4 gives me an average of 3.2 inflation. So 3.2% is our new interest rate. That is the average interest rate with inflation. So now, after 30 years, our $10,000 with the average of inflation added in gets us $18,868.98. that has a difference of $1,352. Now, the difference isn't too, it's $1,000. It's about $1,000 off. But you could have easily cashed out your EE bond at the 20-year mark, where it was worth $20,000, whereas your I bond is worth about $16,000. That would have been a $4,000 difference right there. Now the inflation, it's not always guaranteed to move with this average, but your EE bond is guaranteed to double to its face value after 20-year mark. So it's really up to you what you think is the best investment to be made for you in your long-term investments. I think that's a good question for you guys to kind of figure out if this is something you guys are interested in. I think it was a good video to kind of put out. I think savings bonds are kind of overlooked sometimes, and they're not really invested in. You can see that I am invested in EE bonds and I bonds, and I plan to go long term and hold these out, because you can see that the interest rate in 2014 was 45, 2015 49, 2016 57, 2017 62. So I'm gaining a pretty nice flow there. Between 15 and 16, I had nearly $1,000. I'm going to probably have the same thing by the end of 17, and it's just going to continue to increase and compound in the years to come. So that is it for this video. I hope you liked it. Remember to hit the subscribe button for additional videos and future videos similar to this, and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. My resource page, of course, has free stock tools. You can get the information and screen for stocks, so check that out by clicking the link on the left hand side to go to my website, and subscribe by clicking the link on the right hand side. If you have any questions on bonds, stocks, or other in general questions, or just want to say hello, please leave a comment and I will always reply. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.